Good afternoon. My name is Nate. I am the communications specialist at UMFS. Welcome to episode 5 of season 2 of UMFS Live. I am going to dial in this week's guest. We're going to be joined by Danielle. She's a clinician in our functional therapy program. I've got the invite out now. So let's see if she can join the room. Just waiting to see. There we are. Hey, Danielle, it's good to see you.
Good afternoon, Nate. How's it going?
I am doing well. I appreciate you very much for joining me. I'm excited to speak with you today, and thanks for bearing with me as we were working through some technical issues, but we're off and running now.
We are.
So it's so good to be joined by you here on this short Thanksgiving week. And let's just jump right into the questions here. So I was introducing you, Danielle, as a clinician in our functional family therapy program. And I wanted to kick things off by learning what inspired you to pursue a career serving others.
Oh, man, our lovely question. How do we get here, right? My story, I think, might be like others. I grew up in a family that was serving, so we were serving all around. I didn't know it at the time, but, we kind of had an open door policy, so people didn't have places to stay. They came and they bunked at our house, and I remember as a child sometimes being very frustrated, like, why they always got to come to our house? Like, can they go somewhere else? But in hindsight, it was my mom helping, and so I grew up with a parent that was a helper, and here I am, just wanting to be in a position to help others.
I love that story, and we hear that term a lot, helper. We are just an organization full of helpers and people who are really looking for an opportunity. So thank you for sharing that with us. And speaking of UMFS specifically, how did you come to know the organization?
I had decided it would be a good idea to move to Virginia from Hawaii in the month of December. And I was just kind of looking around, and I kept seeing a lot of advertisement for UMFS. So that's what got me interested. And then I saw that they kind of, did some things that I was used to doing, serving the community, being very hands-on with, families and youth that needed support. And so that's what led me into them. And I had my first kind of informational phone call with Douglas Blick at the time, was running Child and Family Healing Center. And it went from a phone call, me just inquiring what they did, to kind of like, tell me more about you, Danielle, to, hey, can you come in for an interview? And, I've been here, and it's almost 8 years later.
Wow, 8 years. And so did you kind of know right away that UMFS was going to be a good fit for you?
Yes and no. I guess when I made the initial phone call, I didn't know. And then in talking to Glick, I'm like, I like this guy. Is this a representative for the whole organization? And so that kind of made me be, I felt very welcome. And so when I first went on campus, the warmth just continued. And I was like, ooh, this is a place that I can see myself being. And I haven't left.
And you said that's been about 8 years?
It'll be 8 years, 2 months? Yeah.
That's so great. I love hearing that. So what keeps you coming back?
Because we're still serving. We're still, holding on to our core values. We're all about the people. We're all about, being strengths-based, and really progressing with the times is the other thing that I like. So right now, seeing our residential program wanting to be more like what's current, that's what's kept me with UMFS, the fact that they're constantly looking for better ways to serve the people that need our support right now.
Oh, absolutely. And I think you're absolutely right about the way that we are constantly evolving. I mean, we've been here in Richmond for 120 years. The organization has grown statewide. So it's wonderful to see that you're growing with us. If you can talk about a little bit, you spend your weeks making sure others are cared for. What do you do for yourself, though? How do you recharge?
Oh my. So I'm getting better with that, Nate. It's funny because we time after time, we're preaching self-care to families and, parents that are tired, and then like the clinicians or the therapists, we're not as adamant about it when it comes to us. But I like nature. I'm a fisher by heart, so it bothers me when it's wintertime and I can't do as much fishing. I like driving, even though my current position does require a lot of it. I do love road trips, especially now when you have the leaves that are different colors and it's just prettier. of a drive. And I love to travel. COVID has kind of changed how I travel, but it is something that I'm still keeping in my book of places to go and things to do.
Yeah, well, it's so good for you to talk about self-care, and like you said, it's something we encourage the families, the young people that we work with, and knowing that you're able to take some time for yourself and even get innovative in the face of a pandemic is so good to hear. So I'm glad you're able to take that time and pursue those interests.
Yeah, I've been doing that and been looking into some DIY. So I've been building. My father and my grandfather, they are builders by heart. So I've kind of been around it my whole life. But I was a tool holder or put the nail here, but not like this is mine from start to finish. So I've been doing some little things like that. So I did a computer desk and I'm working on a bookshelf. So we'll see how it turns out.
That's amazing. That takes a quite a bit of patience and calculation to get those things right. I know that I don't have patience for it. I usually get interested in a project, and then when I start measuring or trying to get angles correct, it always just runs me off track. So good for you to be able to see something from beginning to end. I wonder if we can switch and talk a little bit about functional family therapy.
Sure.
You are an FFT clinician in Fredericksburg, our office out there, and can you just tell us briefly about what functional family therapy is and who you serve?
Absolutely. So functional family therapy, also known as FFT, we are following an evidence-based model, and we serve youth from sometimes the ages of 11 all the way up to 18. And we are serving youth who are either at risk of out-of-home placement, have been placed out of the home, or are transitioning back into the home. And the client in FFT is the family. We're working hard to help with whatever they need. And that a lot of times can be just working on communication. It can be working on how they disagree as a family. So maybe there's a lot of hostile ways of communicating, or old habits provide a lot of aggression. And so we're really working with them. They are a client and they are also the professional in their family. So they're saying, like, this is how we want to function better as a family. So we take time, we get to know them, then we start to teach them skills to really help in those areas that they have deficits in and that they want to function better as a family in. And after we do that, we help them to generalize those skills. How can we work on that same better way of communicating when we're out in the community? How can we work on that when we are at work? And after that, we discharge them and we wish them the best because they have the skills and the tools that they need, to be more successful with one another and out and about.
And I've had the pleasure of working with you on some projects involving some of our FFT families, and it's pretty amazing to hear them speak about the way they are equipped after they've gone through the process versus when they first were introduced to it. So that kind of leads me to my next question here. You mentioned it just a moment ago, skill and skill over will that's missing, right? So can you talk a little bit more then about the importance of providing families with those skills and those tools for success?
Absolutely. The big theme there is, I hate to sound cliche because I was just talking about fishing, but if I teach you how to fish, they say you'll never be hungry. And so it's kind of like that with the families that we serve, where we're giving them these skills, and we're really helping them to practice them. So it doesn't feel as awkward or like I can't do it, but we might be role playing, but there's a lot of practice utilizing the skill. And so that way, when the professionals leave, when the providers leave the home, the family is still able to do it on their own. And that is the big part of FFT, is that we are giving them, and a lot of other therapies as well, you're giving them the skills because ideally we're supposed to discharge them. They're supposed to get better. You want them to present differently. And so when you teach them how to do it, it's better than doing it for them, because let's say you're sick one day. They can do it on their own. Let's say you transition to a different role. They're still able to do it on their own. And so I love it, when I see a family like, I really practiced this. I was working on this. And now, I was able to tell him I needed space without it becoming yelling, without it becoming a big, disagreement. And so that's what really makes me kind of excited, is when you see them becoming comfortable. And that's when like, okay, we're doing something and now we can move on to the next thing, and we're getting closer and closer to being able to discharge that family.
Wow. Yeah, it's really amazing to watch, just to know that people just need a little bit of help sometimes to figure out, the difference between escalating something and really just being able to reach a resolution. Um, you know, you talked about coming from a family of helpers, and you got into this profession because you are a helper. What do you think you might be doing if you hadn't have chosen this work?
I would have like Guinness World Record for the largest daycare, Nick. Like, I don't see I think I would have like a really, really huge daycare that was colorful and kids are learning and running around happy. I think I would be like a great, awesome daycare provider. I don't know,
Yeah.
who
Yeah.
fishes, who has like a pond in the back that's teaching kids how to fish. I don't know.
Hey,
But
that's something
I
I
think,
haven't seen before. Yeah.
yeah, that or like, I don't know. Maybe some type of service that helps an older population get to grocery stores and things like that
Oh,
on the side, but still helping, right? After all that complaining, why they gotta be here? But still helping folks for sure.
wonderful. Well, we're glad you're here and not somewhere else. I can tell you that. So it's so nice
Thank you.
to be joined with you. I want to be mindful of your time, but I have a couple more questions if you're
No,
still
you're
okay.
good.
All right. So talk about the impact, okay, of the work on you personally.
I think it has allowed me to be a better mom, a better spouse. When I think about the patience that you have to exude in this field, and just being able to overcome challenges, overcome resistance. All the families we serve are not saying, hey, welcome and come in, we're ready. Or vice versa. When they had to come to the office, they weren't saying, hey, we're here and it's on time and we're ready. So being able to be patient, thoughtful, I think has kind of been the impact, and really looking for ways to be more effective, I think has been the biggest impact, being intentional with decisions, being intentional with my words and how I'm spending time with people.
Yeah, I love that too about the intentionality. It really in language, that speaks to me, of course,
Mhm.
and it's so true. And just being able to recognize things differently and speak to things a little bit more intentionally can make a humongous difference. So, do you ever have moments, and actually you talked about this just a few minutes ago, where you do step back and you say, I really am making a difference. Can you talk a little bit about some of those moments?
Yeah, it may not happen in the moment.
Hmm.
It doesn't normally happen like that, but you might have, for me, I'll have youth that'll reach out to me and I'm like, oh, wow, like of all the people you could have reached out to and shared a happy moment or said that you were having issues or challenges, for them to reach out to me, those are the moments where I step back and say, I might have been doing good that day, Nate, or, I really did a good job. And so those are the things that I look for. It's like you get these random phone calls or the random emails from a mom who's like, my kid wouldn't be going to community college, let alone finishing high school if we didn't, work through with you. So getting graduation pictures and you haven't worked with the family in over a year, things like that are what really is like, okay, Danielle, you did something those days. And so those are the moments that I really look for. And those are the moments that really help me to remember the why for me.
That's awesome. Thank you for
Mhm.
sharing that. I want to stay on that same theme. This will be our last question to round us out on this episode of UMFS Live. Um, has there been a particular young person or a family that you've worked with in particular that's made a lasting impact on you? And can you tell us a little bit about that?
Oh, I only get to pick one. I guess since I just mentioned the theme of pictures, I would think of a family that I worked with a couple of years ago. Um, you had a two-parent home, and they were really just struggling with some of the behaviors that the child was exhibiting. And he had also gotten some detention time. And so when he came home for detention, parents were really just frustrated. You had a father who did not want professionals in his home. He was not open to the idea of someone telling him how to parent. And so there was a lot of resistance going in. But come discharge, he was thanking me. He was thanking me for being patient with the process and really giving it a try and being open. There was some pushback when we got to the teaching of skills because he had to do it differently than what he had always done. But we had some hiccups along the way. The youth finally got on board and was able to really start being more trustworthy. The family was learning how to communicate better. At the end of it, they had a successful discharge. And so time had gone by, and mom was like, I can't remember the last time, he's stolen cigarettes. I can't remember the last time I felt the need to hide my purse. She had sent me pictures of him. He had joined the wrestling team. This was a youth that didn't want to go to school. When he would go to school, he was skipping school. And so for him to be in school, be on a team, find, some sense of camaraderie in that and want to keep showing up every day, it decreased him being so hopeless. The family had learned ways to interact differently, more positive interaction. And, she sent me pictures this school, end of last school year where he had graduated with honors. He was considering college after the military. So it looks like he's going to sign up for the military. But it was like, to think going into it, the family was like, we don't even want you here. We're good. This is how we're going to do it. We only got a year till he's 18 and then we're done. And so to change that mentality, I would say that that's a family that, is one of many who give the service an opportunity to work and are really on board despite some of the hiccups along the way with functioning better. And so those are the moments that I really look forward to.
Thank you for sharing that, Danielle. It's just amazing to hear that sort of beginning to end and the complete transformation that you can see in the families that you work with through FFT. I want to thank you for your time today. This is awesome. Thanks for bearing with me. I think it's the season of helping. We're getting ready to celebrate Thanksgiving, so I'm wishing you a happy Thanksgiving, you and your family.
I'm wishing you the same, Nate.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate you joining me. I appreciate everyone who's tuning in live and everyone who will be watching this at a later time on our UMFS Instagram page. Remember to also follow us on Facebook and keep an eye out as we post information about future episodes of UMFS Live. Thanks very much, Danielle. Take care.
All right, Nate. Thank you.
Yep,
Thanks,
goodbye.
everybody, for watching. Bye.